Let's see if she saw your message. Let's see if this guy commented on your post. Let's see if he replied to your message. Let's see if he saw your message. Let's see if he saw your comment. Let's see if this bop who's friend zoning you saw your story. Let's open Instagram for like third time within 10 minutes. Let's see if somebody posted a new story. Let's see, let's scroll reels. Why not? Let's just start scrolling reels. I don't know, who cares? Let's start scrolling shorts. Let's start scrolling, like, I don't know, the Spotify shorts version. Just anything. I just need entertainment. I just need some sort of dopamine in my brain. No. Wrong. Start slowing down and smelling the roses. Start putting your brain into a lower dopamine state where you can kind of watch longer form videos like these. And binging longer form videos like these, even though it's not ideal, even though you're not going to be learning much unless you put it into action, which I'll get into in a second, even though it's not going to be as good as not watching it at all, depending on who you're watching. I don't know, let's say you're watching some entertainment video, some Mr. Beast, some, I don't know, Drew Gooden or something. Let's say, even if you're watching this, it's still bad. Okay, if you're not putting it into action, if you're not learning anything, if you're just going to forget it, and you're putting off the stuff that you should be doing anyways, it's bad. It's better than doing this kind of autistic stuff where, I don't know, you like 3 or 4 years ago would not have even imagined yourself being in this situation where you're opening an app so many times in a day, where you're distracting yourself so many times, where your attention is so horrible, where you cannot even hold a conversation, you cannot even remember someone's name, you cannot even have something in your working memory, you cannot even think cognitively normally. Your brain is at maybe 20% of its full capacity, and you're just kind of operating at this low vibrational, high dopamine, and constantly kind of this hedonistic, in the worst way possible. Hedonistic is kind of good when you're constantly chasing a goal, constantly chasing money, constantly chasing, there's an argument to be made with that, of course. But if you're constantly chasing something that's actually like a meaningful goal, let's say it's money, let's say you're trying to grow your business, that's meaningful, that's masculine, that's something that you should be doing, in my opinion. And, that's natural, of course. You should be kind of chasing to grow more and more, to become even better, to improve your looks constantly, to improve your status, your money, these kind of things, your experience, your, like, I don't know, your experiences with women, getting better at talking to women, getting, having more experiences, going outside, experiencing more things in that aspect. All these kind of things, improving your life, improving the food that you eat, improving your health. In that way, constantly chasing is a good thing. Constantly having a goal. If you don't have a goal, then something is wrong with you. You're more of a feminine person. I'm not gonna get into all of that, but you're kind of like this girly person if you've kind of been castrated in the way that you don't have any goal that you're seeking. If you don't have that kind of money, if you don't have that kind of want to, I don't know, find like a partner or retire your family or something like that, then there's something wrong with you. If you don't want to, improve your life in that aspect, and you're fine being like a 9-to-5 sheep, then in my opinion, something's wrong with you. Unless you're dead set on, I don't know, being a pilot or being a doctor or being a lawyer, you've probably been brainwashed. So slow down, smell the roses, and you'll start to kind of notice these things going on. You'll start to notice that this kind of content that you've been consuming maybe on YouTube, these kind of videos, that you can actually apply that in your life in a meaningful way, but you would not have otherwise realized that if you're continually on Snapchat, if you're on Instagram, if you're on these other social medias, which I've stopped using completely, then you're gonna, if you're on those, then you're just gonna watch the YouTube video and you're gonna move on. You're gonna be like, I watched the video and I learned something because it's educational and because it's a talking head video and the person is educating me. But if you don't actually put that into action, then you're not learning anything. Learning is putting something into action. Learning is not just having something in your brain. In, like, not the actual definition of it, but operationally, that is how it works. If you learn that you should operate on a low dopamine frequency, if you learn that you should sleep this way, sleep this many hours, you should do this for your health, you should eat this, you should do that, you should talk to these people, you should avoid these people, you should think this way, you should act this way, and you don't put it into action, and instead you just keep it in your brain, then what was the point of learning that? You basically haven't learned anything at all, because you're not practicing yourself. And even if you tell that to other people as your way of kind of using what you've learned, They're not going to listen to you because you're not doing it yourself, and they can see that. So start putting into action things that you've learned. And I'm kind of all over the place right now, but if you slow down and you start smelling the roses and you start putting yourself on a lower dopamine frequency, then your brain opens up more. The things that you do start having a higher level of your attention. So let's say that you're watching a YouTube video and you're able to make more connections in your brain, and you're able to connect these kind of abstract concepts, and you can turn them into actual tasks, actual goals, actual things to do, certain steps that relate to your certain situation to get to your, with the situation that you're in and the things that you can do right now. You find something to do within that by the stuff that you've learned, that by the experiences that you have, by the things that have entered your brain, and then you put those actions into work in order to achieve some sort of goal. And you can make those kind of connections when you slow down, when you meditate, and when you kind of allow yourself more room to think. If you're constantly watching these kind of reels and snaps, and you're snapping these useless people, and you're holding up streaks, that has to be the stupidest thing ever. If you're above the age of 13, then that's just retarded. And you're on Instagram and these things, then you're going to be not only are you going to be surrounded by these kind of useless people who have no benefit to your life, they're putting you on a lower, they're basically like crabs in a bucket. They're putting you onto a lower frequency, but where was I? You're also not going to be able to slow down your brain and start making these connections, because it sounds crazy right now. It sounds super nebulous, if that's the word, nebulous. It seems kind of enigmatic. It seems like this is not an actual thing that could happen. But when you slow down your brain, when you start smelling the roses, when you start sitting down with your thoughts, with your boredom, like people did like 50 years ago, or even like 20, 30 years ago, maybe even less years than that, then you can make these kind of connections, and you can realize, wait, in this video when he said, before, maybe if you have a girlfriend, if you have a partner, or if you're talking to someone or something like that, and I'm not even a dating channel like that, it just happens to be on my mind, but if in the video it says, if your partner acts in this way, then they're actually manipulating you, or if your girlfriend says these things, then that's a sign that she's not really high quality because of these reasons, and you agree with those, and you're like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, but my girl's different because, and then you kind of leave the video and you move on, and you didn't actually think through that, no, maybe it is your girl, maybe you are being manipulated, maybe you don't have a wife quality person on your hands, and maybe you are just wasting your time, maybe you're just in that relationship because you're lonely, and you can start to piece together those things, and you can actually turn them into actions. Another example is, let me think real quick. Another example is, maybe you're told that you should bring your best health to your business. Well, how do you get better health? You get better mental health. How do you get better mental health? You surround yourself by high quality, good people. How do you do that? Let's say that one time you went for pickleball with one of your friends, or a couple of your friends, and you didn't think much of it. You were just kind of sitting on the sides, and you were on your phone while they were playing, and you just kind of left after a bit after they were done playing, and you kind of noticed, like slightly, that the environment was pretty fun, that people were off their electronics, people were talking to each other, people were meeting new people, and it was kind of a great environment. People were intermingling, and they were having good discussions, and they were high quality people, and they're focused on their health, and they're on that grind, and they do this for fun, and it actually seems like a pretty fun sport, but you forget about it. You go back to reels, you go back to shorts, you go back to checking the post, you go back to this autistic checking, and you don't realize that. It's okay, pickleball's fun, pickleball's cool. That's in my memory now. I'm going to forget that after a few days. Maybe I'm going to remember it later on when the topic of pickleball comes up, and you're like, oh yeah, it was pretty fun that one time, and then you're going to move on after that because you're on a low dopamine if you're on a high dopamine state and you're on a low vibrational frequency. I'm not even spiritual like that. Not that much. I'm not at that level yet, but like, you're operating on a low state. If you started to smell the roses, you'd realize smelling the roses is basically slow down, enjoy nature, enjoy a slower life, basically. Then you'll realize, wait, there's amazing people here. This would be good for my health. This would be good cardio. This would help maintain my weight. This would keep my cardiovascular health. I heard in this study that cardiovascular health improves your mental health. Or cardiovascular health helps in, I don't know, all sorts of things. You could probably think of a couple. Cardiovascular health, last longer, whatever. Cardiovascular health helps in all of these areas. And when you're with new people, when you're with higher quality people, let's say that because you were quote unquote on self-improvement and you start cutting off a lot of low quality people, maybe at your school or something, you're kind of lonely and you don't have good people around you. Or maybe that you still are kind of friends with some fake people who just want to be friends with you because you play video games with them. And beyond that, they don't really want to be friends with you. And they're kind of low quality people. They're playing Clash Royale or Brawl Stars or something like that. And they're like showing you like Jinxie shorts, or they're talking about Bernardo. But you realize that, oh wait, at this pickleball, there's great people. I can surround myself with these people. I can start meeting people, and it's naturally super easy to meet people in this environment, because when you're basically, you just put your paddle up when you're like waiting for the courts to open up for like you to join a game. And you just, if you're solo or if you're with somebody else, then you just put your paddle up, and chances are that the other two people that you're going to be playing against are new people, right? So let's say you put your two paddles up, because pickleball is like 2v2. So you put your two paddles up with your friend, and then two other people are going to put their paddles up. They might not even know each other, or they might be coming separately, and they might like have been going to that pickleball court separately, and they met through pickleball, through random matchmaking at that pickleball place. And you naturally meet these people by playing a game with them, and it's like, I don't even know how to explain that. Like, dang, but this video sucks. You get my point though. You meet people naturally at that pickleball environment, because the whole point of the game is that you play against other people, and the only other people that you're going to play against, whether you're solo or whether it's with someone else, or whether even you have three people, you're going to at least have a fourth person that you're going to meet, because usually it's all four spots are filled, especially if it's like a busier court. So you meet these people, they're high quality people, you see them if you go there consistently, and they're high quality people, they're genuine friends. You could take them somewhere else after, you can start hiking with them, you can start going to the gym with them, you can start bouldering with them, I don't know. Once you get to know these people, you can figure that out from there. You can, I don't know, cook with them or something gay like that. But you never really know if you haven't put yourself through that experience, and I have previous videos on that. But if you start smelling the roses, then you'll realize I've made friends with these people, and I've been on this point for like 3-4 minutes now. I make friends with these high quality people. That improves my mental health, that improves my physical health. And even just by improving my mental health, I bring a better self to my business, to my videos, and I'm able to kind of, by slowing down and smelling the roses, I was able to improve my mental and physical health through since it's a sport, you're improving your physical health, you're improving your cardiovascular system, as we've been over. You improve your mental health since you meet people, and you wouldn't have been able to realize that if you weren't smelling the roses, if you weren't taking life a little bit slower, if you weren't off these kind of stimulating things. And you've kind of heard this a bunch, but then you haven't taken action. So start taking action, start actually doing it. And I've given you already an example of something that you could start. You can literally get a cheap $10 pickleball paddle from like, what is it, Shields or like Dick's. You can get like the cheapest thing there for like $15. You don't even need a ball, because usually people there have a ball, like a pickleball. You can just look up pickleball courts near me, just go there, and you can start meeting people, and you can start doing stuff from there. You never know until you try. Maybe you meet a business owner who just likes playing pickleball on the side sometimes, occasionally, and he's worth like 10 million net worth, and he like gives you a job. How are you going to know that that's not going to happen if you haven't tried it? If you stay comfortably in your room, staying on reels, staying on shorts, then not only are you guaranteeing yourself that you're not going to improve in any way, you're not going to magically find a reel that's like, I have a job opportunity for useless people sitting at home bed rotting. You're obviously not going to get an opportunity like that, but you're also horribly ruining your attention span. You're just kind of ruining your life. You're self-sabotaging basically, because you're purposeless, and you've fallen into this vicious cycle of, since I'm purposeless, since I have nothing to do, since I'm useless, I'm gonna go on reels, I'm gonna ruin my life in that way. And because of that, I'm going to stay useless, and I'm not going to realize that there's more to life, that I can have these interconnections between things that I've learned a while ago through long form videos or even through reels and stuff like that. And then you're going to keep doing these reels. You're going to keep ruining your life. You're going to keep doing these reels. And you're just going to surround yourself by low vibrational people who aren't really going anywhere, but you think that they're fun because they're pretty popular at school, because it's the popular people who are, I don't know, they have the Birkenstocks, they have the Stanley when that was a trend. They dress a certain way, they do, they kind of are consumerist in that way, and they follow the kind of trends of, they use Snapchat, they use Instagram, they're basically sheep, and you're joining them as sheep because you look up to them in some sort of way. So you want to disconnect from low vibrational people. You want to start smelling the roses. You want to get off social media. You want to connect yourself with higher quality people, and you can make connections that bring you closer to your goal by just slowing down, smelling the roses, and by meditating. 2 things that I did to improve my attention span and to start smelling the roses more: gradually meditating more and gradually reading more. You can read, if you need book recommendations, I have more than you can think of. You can start with, Strong Men Create Hard Times. That's a great book you can read. Reality Transurfing by Vadim Zeland, which is like a Russian quantum physicist. You probably don't want to start with that because it's like 800 pages. It's like super long, and those pages are jam-packed full of information. They're like pretty long pages too, and it's a pretty expensive book, even though you can just like pirate a free ebook. And it's on a pretty hard topic and like pretty hard to read topic, so you're only going to get through like 10 pages after like a while of practicing reading, because it is a pretty hard read, and you might not even pay attention to the actual concepts in the book. You might not trust them because they are kind of hard to swallow, hard to digest, but that book will change your life. I have a ton more book recommendations. You can try Atomic Habits, you can try Essentialism, you can do $100 million offers, $100 million mental models, $100 million, there's a third Alex Hormozy $100 million thing, $100 million leads. That's a good one. I think that's a purple one. But there are a ton of books that you could read that are like, you've probably been conditioned through school that books are a bad, useless thing because you've been forced to read, Fahrenheit 451 if you're an American, probably something like that, To Kill a Mockingbird, these kind of useless books that don't really give any value because you're reading them out of being forced to read them, and you don't want to read them. And because even though you may have had a genuine interest in that, just because you're being forced to read it, you kind of have that act of defiance that you don't like it merely because you've been forced to read it. So start reading books more, follow your interests, whatever you want. You can even start with like manga or something if that's what you want. If you watch anime, then starting to read manga is a really easy transition from there. But start smelling the roses a bit more, and you'll create these cause-effect relationships, interconnections in your mind that are extremely, extremely powerful. And using like interneurons within your brain and your spinal cortex, you'll create all these little bonds, all these little interconnections between all these ideas in your mind. And it seems nebulous right now, it seems confusing right now, it seems like this is false right now. If you just give it a try, then you'll realize, if I want to improve in a business, or if I even want to come up with a good business idea, I need to improve my health in order to improve my cognitive thinking so that I can give my best self into finding a business. So I can put my full energy into finding which business is right for me, so that I can be, and I also want to be at a low dopamine state so I can do proper, high quality, full effort thinking. And I want to put my diet in check because I want to have higher quality, full brain thinking without being distractive, who's snapping, who's Instagram post, whatever, like I mentioned at the start of the video. You'll realize that by improving your health in all these aspects, that you can find a business if you haven't found one yet. You can find your purpose. You can start thinking about what are my actual interests based off my childhood and based off of these kind of things that have shown interest in the past and these kind of events that have happened in the past in my life. What does that show me about my interests that I may have? and the passions that I can pursue. You might have watched a YouTube video a while ago, or maybe recently, that was like, oh, AI is going to take over the world, and you were like, oh, I'm actually a little bit interested in AI, whatever, next video. But you may have realized, oh wait, AI is actually, there's going to be like robots on the streets in like 10 years from now. And maybe because you realize that, you might get into the field of AI a little bit more. You might learn a little bit of coding. You might learn a little bit of how LLMs, large language models, and AI works. And you might look into the research regarding AI, and you might want to maybe, therefore, go for an internship at like maybe an AI company, like maybe Meta or Apple or something, or some other, you might want to reach out to Perplexity or Anthropic or ChatGPT, or sorry, OpenAI, and I don't know, maybe they give you an internship, maybe they give you a job based off of your experience. That's obviously a little bit of far reaching, but you kind of get what I mean. And from there, or maybe even you just start investing into Bitcoin because you see that it could be the future of like currencies, or you invest in Tesla because you see that they have almost unbounded potential, and they are almost certainly going to reach like a $30 trillion market cap, which is a lot of money. That's going to be well above any company right now, even well above Nvidia right now, which is like the largest company in terms of market cap. You can realize these things, and you can maybe invest into Tesla, invest, like open an account, save up through a job or through an internship or through a side hustle or something like that, and you can start making money. You can start investing into Tesla, and maybe in like 10 years you have like 10x your money, maybe, ideally, and now you're rich, and now you're able to improve your life further because of that, just because. And you could see kind of how you can think of this however small scale, or however far reaching as you want, but you can see the unbounded potential of this. So yeah, improve your health so that you can put more energy into finding your passion, into finding what interests you, into finding what field that you should put more time into finding what you can cut out of your life in terms of people, in terms of extracurriculars in school, in terms of homework, in terms of studying for tests, in terms of what you can cut out, what is kind of extra, almost like DOGE, like Department of Government Efficiency, where they kind of cut out all the useless stuff from the government. You can see I'm getting out of breath. But you can cut out all the excess from your life. You can start getting rid of all the stuff that is just draining your energy, so that you can fill up your mental capacity. And you can see that how it turns from a negative cycle to a positive cycle, where by deleting these social medias and by surrounding yourself by better people, and sorry, not surrounding yourself by better people, by deleting these social medias and by smelling the roses a little bit more, you realize that you should ideally improve your health in order to improve all aspects of your life, in addition to improving your health, allowing you to find a girlfriend easier, or having better experience with women, or finding a business model that suits you better, or finding your passion better, or even performing better in school and performing better in tests because your brain is operating at a higher capacity. You can see how health affects all of these things, and therefore, to improve your health, you're going to cut out bad people, you're going to cut out these social medias, and you go into a positive cycle. So you want to improve your health, so you cut out all these bad things, and by cutting out all those bad things, you realize how much health improves your life even more, and you put your improved health into all of these positive places instead, other than to fill your time, other than reels and shorts and these purposeless things, into consuming content. Maybe you start a YouTube channel. Like even one of the reasons why I am making this video and even continuing this channel is because a YouTube channel that I watch pretty consistently called Young James, Youngjamez, makes these kind of raw videos where he just kind of yaps to the camera. Usually not this long. This is about 24 minutes so far. But he just kind of talks to the camera, gives his personality, gives his advice, gives his experiences, and kind of distills them down into a digestible form, an entertaining form. And those are super entertaining. And he gets a lot of people who pay him money, whether it's donations or whether it's joining his communities and stuff like that, by making those videos, and also ad revenue and sponsorships and coaching and things like that. So you could see how I'm making this video because I am at a I have improved my health and I've started smelling the roses a little bit more in order to realize that just like how this person is making money from YouTube and they are enjoying their life through YouTube and through making content, that I can also do the same, and I also have advice to give. This is kind of meta because like I'm giving advice about how I learned to give advice, but you can see how I'm doing this myself. I'm practicing what I preach. So instead of just watching the video and being like, yeah, that was entertaining, maybe I learned a thing or two, cool, goodbye, that's it, done. And now on to the next video, on to the next reel, on to the next short. I put it into action. I realized some value that I could get out of that. I made interconnections because I want to live money, because I want to live a purposeful life, because I want to have time freedom, and I want to have financial freedom, and I don't want to work a 9 to 5, and I want to kind of give advice to people, and I want to help the general public and help young men specifically like English-speaking young men in high school and things like that, around that age group. That I saw a stimulus, I saw an input that was watching this guy's video, and instead of just thinking that it was just entertaining and just getting value in that way, that I actually realized the connection from watching his content to achieving that financial freedom, time freedom, helping young men. There was this kind of gap right here, and I made those interconnections. He is making YouTube videos on things that he likes doing. I could also and then the next step is like, well, the similar effort that he put, I could also put into my videos. I could create similar content to him. I could also put personality into my videos like him. I could also use examples like he does. I could also have stories like he tells about in his videos. I could also post consistently like he does. I could also, my battery's going down. I could also, dang, that kind of derailed me. I could also make videos similar to him. I could have thumbnails similar to him. I could have a business model similar to him by making that connection from there. And then there, obviously, I make the videos, and then I get the financial freedom and the time freedom, and I grow an audience, and then eventually I can sell them something. And you can see these kind of steps, all these interconnected steps. Maybe I saw a video that if you have a YouTube audience, that you can sell them a school community, or you can grow a school community, which is, if you don't know what school is at this point, it's like a social media where people can pay to join a group, where they have like-minded people and they all work together for a specific group. It's kind of a forum style. It's like basically a healthy social media, and then the owner can have like courses and calls in there, and it's all to achieve a certain goal. And it could be free, it could be paid, it could have a lot of people, it could have just a few people, and usually they are like $9 to like $1,000 a month to like join those places if it is paid. So you can kind of see that I went from, once again, watching the YouTube video to being able to make money and have financial freedom. And I laid out a whole business model, a whole path, just from that one video, all because I smelled the roses and I was able to use my full brain capacity, and I was able to think it through rather than distracting myself with these kind of high dopamine, low vibrational activities. Goodbye. Take action.